എല്ലാവർക്കും നമസ്കാരം. This is the Rollin with Ronnie podcast. Stay tuned. So, Glenn, thanks a lot, man, for coming on the show. It means a lot.
No, it's all cool. I'm glad to be here.
Great, man. Dude, I want to ask you, ആദ്യത്തെ കാര്യം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ, since I also was raised in Bahrain, and you're also there right now. Your parents are there, my parents are still there. So I was just so curious to understand. ഇപ്പം ഞങ്ങളൊക്കെ പഠിച്ച് വളർന്ന സമയത്തൊക്കെ ഇങ്ങനൊരു സംഭവം എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞാൽ like there's only engineer, doctor, and that's pretty much it. And I also ended up getting into engineering and doing it. അപ്പോൾ like how did this music thing come in?
So even currently I'm doing transportation design.
Right.
Which is basically car designing. അതാണ് ഞാൻ പഠിക്കുന്നത്. But what happened is I used to be in bands. ഞങ്ങൾ പുറത്തൊക്കെ വായിക്കായിരുന്നു. I had a
KL07 ആണോ?
Yes. Right. Yeah, I was part of that. I used to play the bass in the band and stuff. And then I used to study guitar, piano അതൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. So music wise, and then പള്ളിയിലെ choirലൊക്കെ ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. So music wise I always had that thing going on. Family and it was being pushed. But എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു ഒരു 12th end ഫൈനൽസ് ബോർഡ്സ് ഒക്കെ ആയിരുന്ന സമയം. അപ്പം വീട്ടിലെന്തായാലും പഠിച്ചിട്ട് പിന്നെ വേറെ പണിയൊന്നുമില്ല. സിറ്റിംഗ് അറ്റ് ഹോം, നോ വൺസ് ഗോയിങ് ഔട്ട് ടു പ്ലേ, നത്തിങ്സ് ഹാപ്പനിങ്, നോ വൺസ് ഹാങ്ങിങ് ഔട്ട്, നത്തിങ്സ് ഹാപ്പനിങ്. സോ വീട്ടിൽ തന്നെ ഇരിക്കും. So that's the time when I was like, I'm going to explore a bit more, see what I can do. Recently I had gotten my new MacBook Pro. So it had GarageBand and stuff. So I was like, I know the basics of playing the piano. Guitarum atyashakarat, I can play a mess around. So I was like, let's start making instrumental stuff on GarageBand. So angane thodangi, and then I started making a lot of stuff, just 1 minute instrumentals, just random stuff, not even covers or anything, just myself, and their own compositions.
Okay.
And then I started sending it out to a few friends of mine, and then Kiran, KV.
Yeah. I spoke to him.
Outside Pillars.
Yeah, pretty cool guy.
Bahrain, so
Oh, he's also from Bahrain,
Australia. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So he studied in Asian school.
Dude, my mom is a teacher in Asian school, man.
Oh, is it?
Yeah.
Crazy.
Even I till 10th I was in Asian school, so.
Yeah. Same. And then he moved to India for 11th and 12th.
Okay.
Then in Australia, he's doing his undergrad there.
Okay.
So, but he started making music in Australia by then. You can see, since he was a 2-year senior to me, so he sent one of his tracks over, and he's like, why don't you try singing also? Get into that whole thing. And his style is just almost similar to what I do. We kind of emulate each other, go with the same style. So I was like, let's give it a try. So I'm gonna earphone mic vechittu I did a couple of tracks, and that's how I started off. And my first EP came out in December 2019. I had 5 tracks, all English. Ellam and friends ഒക്കെ തന്നെ produce the track. So it was utter production wise it was 0. But it was fun. And then 2019 end ayappathekku, that's when I found Ax Radiant. Do you know Neil Sunil Machan on Insta? Yeah, so I follow the dude, and then he put up a story of Rax in the Night Vision EP. So I saw that, and I was like, put Malayalam rap and korre tags with again, and I was like, wait, this is interesting. Let's see what it sounds like. And I check out the Night Vision, and I hear a few tracks, and I'm like, wow, there's a whole untouched called Malayalam rap. And then this period, this is all 2018, 2019 Jan, and Naatlotu Poa. Because I decided to go to India and stay there for 2 months by myself. Exams got over. I was waiting for my visa to the US, but during that period, I was like, I'm just going to stay away from Bahrain for a while. So I'm going to I got my whole new recording mic set, and I was like, I'm going to start Malayalam this time. And then I wrote Varshnai first. Then I wrote Cartel Madras. All of this happened a couple of days or and then I sent it out to different artists. Then slowly build it. That's how Malayalam thing happened for me. It was all very spontaneous. Until I was like, oh, inspired indie. Spontaneous inspirations, and then jumping onto it as soon as I can.
Right. So, Avashanai was your, actual proper, Malayalam rap. You had another track, I think, with, a few other guys.
My first,
yeah.
Which one? After that, I mean, release-wise, എഴുതിയത്-wise, മലയാളത്തിലാണെങ്കിൽ Avashna is my first.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, yeah.
And then
കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട്
അത് കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് അരങ്ങേറ്റം was your next one, right?
Arangetam, no, Arangetam was way later, like 3-4 songs later. I had caught him Duke done. It's only there on Spotify platforms. Videos illa in there.
Okay.
And there's this track called Tedi Poganda.
Yeah, Teddy Poganda, yeah.
So, that's Arangetam. Yeah.
Okay, but video wise, I think after Avashna,
After that was
yeah.
then caught him Duke, then Arangetam. Yeah.
Okay, and how, like, when you say you send these tracks to various artists, like Cartel Duke was obviously it was something very different, and that was one of the first songs that I've actually listened to you, and that's how I kind of got into listening to you, because I was not really familiar that ingenaru nammada Malayalamil ingenaru there are these artists doing this. It was very unfamiliar. So Tirumali, I think because of Malayalida, a lot of attention came there.
Yeah.
And then Tirumalida idu kettu kazhinjittu, it came to Kottayam Duke, and then Trap Sundari. So and
Yeah.
I think Trap Sundari was when I actually got into your music, and I was like and Arangetam, when I saw the video, I knew that ഏതോ ഗൾഫിലെ ഏതോ ഒരു സ്ഥലത്താണ് ഇത് ഷൂട്ട് ചെയ്തേക്കുന്നത്. I kind of figured out. So I was like, how did this guy get to meet like people like Tirumali, Rax? How did that happen? Like, is it just that you send these tracks and പിന്നെ they said let's do this?
റാക്സിന്റെ അടുത്ത് ഞാൻ ലൈക്ക് വർത്തമാനം പറയുന്നത് ആഫ്റ്റർ സീയിങ് ഹിസ് നൈറ്റ് വിഷൻ EP straight texted him on Insta. ആ സമയത്ത് so the time that I came into Malayalam rap, or like I started into the whole culture, was when it was still very new. ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ പോലെയല്ല. Nowadays, like every 10 artists coming out saying with a new track. But back then it was like just a few people who all of us could easily like contact and like get in touch with.
Mm-hmm.
Cartel Madras, I finished the track up. It was a joke, complete joke. The hook was the only part that I had recorded. Okay. And another tamasha, like if you listen, lyrics wise, content wise also, it's just very stuff. അതൊരു സീരിയസ് ട്രാക്ക് ആക്കണം എന്നുള്ള ഒരു ഇതില്ലായിരുന്നു. ഓക്കെ ഇത് കൊള്ളാം, ഐ ലൈക്ക് ഇറ്റ്, ഐ എം ലിസണിംഗ് ടു, ഐ എം ജസ്റ്റ് ലൈക്ക് sitting there and like vibing to it. അങ്ങനെ ഞാൻ തിരുമാലിക്ക് മെസ്സേജ് അയച്ചു on Instagram, and back then he had like 3,000 followers, something very, he's very, ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ പോലെ അത്രയും പോപ്പിംഗ് അല്ലായിരുന്നു. So he was പുള്ളിക്ക് മെസ്സേജ് അയച്ചു. I was like, bro, ഇതുപോലെ ഒരു ട്രാക്ക് ഉണ്ട്, can you just listen to it? And he heard it and he was like, hey, this is that western rap kind of stuff that no one has done yet, like in Malayalam with this whole autotune thing and like crazy 808s and stuff. And he was like, ഇത് നമുക്ക് ചെയ്യാം, and then the demo over. അങ്ങനെ so because Rax കുറെ ആർട്ടിസ്റ്റുമായിട്ട് കണക്ട് ചെയ്തിട്ടുള്ളതുകൊണ്ട് most of these guys had heard my Rax before, so I always had the input from them, because എനിക്കൊരു insecurity ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു, because I was from since I was from Bahrain, Malayalam, it's not my strong,
right.
It's not one of my strengths.
Right.
So what I do most of the times is like, I know the words that I need. So when I frame it up, I'm not sure if it's the right way of framing it or using it.
Mm-hmm.
So I run it by these guys a couple of times. And then like, അവരുടെ ഒരു സജഷൻസ് കിട്ടുമ്പോഴത്തേക്ക് അത് ആ ഒരു രീതിയിലാണ് പോകുന്നത്. That's how I used to, contact these people and keep in touch with them always. അങ്ങനെ, yeah, that's how that whole process went back then. Nowadays, it's like big stuff, like turns into their own big. But we are all still in touch. Like as Kalaman, we have like a group that we always talk and share stuff.
Right.
Very supportive. Very, yeah.
So is when you say Kalaman, is that like set of people managing all of these artists, or?
Yeah, angana managing alla. Basic it's just a collective. It's more like a family. Okay. Wide range of artists also, like a particular genre matra alla. We have tapped into almost everything, and not just hip hop music. We have like instruments matra, producers matra. So we have like people that we have tapped into and then created a community and like a family out of it.
Right. And I think with all the diss tracks and all of that coming out, I think it's good to have a group that are your guys. And
yeah, I don't know, I would say it kind of prevents like, so another thing with artists are like artists everything, when it hurt, you immediately jump into it. So ingane oru group ulladonde, it sometimes prevents you from jumping into wrong stuff,
Yeah.
Like ചെയ്യേണ്ടാത്ത ഒരു കാര്യത്തിലോട്ട് വീഴുന്നതിനും guys are there to help the audience. Like,
Right. No, definitely, man. I mean,
so അങ്ങനെ വരുമ്പോൾ these guys are really
yeah. I mean that definitely helps having people who understand you guys, because this is not something ipo nammada naatil all of this is new, and not having the having like-minded people with you obviously makes like ഒരുപാട് difference ഉണ്ടാവും. And even when you guys collab, right, the quality of music day by day is just going up. So it's definitely a positive that's there, right? So Glenn, I want to ask you about Caught Up in Vibes. Okay, the intro, okay, that's something that really made me laugh, because when you guys നിങ്ങൾ എല്ലാവരും ട്രാവിസ് സ്കോട്ടിന്റെ കാര്യം പറയുമ്പോൾ I don't know if it's Dan or Bob, there's someone talking about
sitting in the
toilet, yeah, and getting goosebumps.
yeah.
Yeah, I want to ask you, who was that? Was it Dan or was it Bob?
That's Bevan. That's
Okay.
Bevan. That's Bob. That's Bob. Bevan. His real name is Bevan. He's like ഞങ്ങളെല്ലാം ഒരേ age group. So Daniel, myself, and Bevan, we're all 19 years old currently. And ഞങ്ങൾ മൂന്നുപേരും കൂടെ ഒരുമിച്ചിരുന്ന്, and all of us listen to similar type of music. And then that was Bevan, about him, like when the Travis Scott കുറിച്ച് കേൾക്കുമ്പോൾ how he did stuff.
Right.
And that was a very last minute thing we did on the album also. ഞങ്ങള് ഒരു പെട്ടെന്നായിരുന്നു, എല്ലാം പെട്ടെന്നായിരുന്നു. It was like within 2019 January we finished the whole album, like at least our production part of it, and like end of verses and vocals എല്ലാം was done. The reason it went all the way till March was because we were waiting for people to send in their other people's like feature artists in the verses and vocals and I had to hold final mixes by other tracks, because I wanted to make sure they're also happy with how it sounds before I put it out. അങ്ങനെ കുറെ സമയം പിടിച്ചു. എന്നിട്ടായിരുന്നു that's how it reached March. But yeah, those guys are like അവരുടെ like that chemistry we had within us, with the three of us. It was like insane. So like the final track, like I think it was towards the end of the release hour, we were like, what, we need an intro. Let's do an says these audience similar to stuff like this. Just talk about how I'm talking, like, and ഞാൻ പറയുന്നതിന് ഒരു reply. So we just did it like out of the blue. It's really funny. Like I get the stats from Spotify and stuff, and I'm just like, അതിനു വേണ്ട അത്യാവശ്യം നല്ല players.
Yeah, because if you're having a bad day, I think that definitely cheers you up. No doubt. Yeah. പിന്നെ I was also like, എനിക്ക് ഭയങ്കര ക്യൂരിയോസിറ്റി ഉണ്ടായ ഒരു കാര്യം ഉണ്ടല്ലോ, ദാറ്റ് ആ ഇൻട്രോയിലും നിങ്ങൾ you talk about just ഒരു 2 ട്രാക്ക് ഒക്കെ ഇറക്കാനുള്ള ഒരു ഇത്, പിന്നെ you go into saying that ഒരു whole album തന്നെ create ചെയ്യാം, and you say Caught Up in Vibes. Did you actually have like
it was very much the same. It was very much the same. The actual conversation just went like that. It was very simple. December end, but towards the end of New Year somewhere. And I was listening. And the first time Berlin after my first time. I was in Berlin, and throughout the time that I was in the US, I was listening to a lot of Travis Scott, like all of his stuff on Spotify. I was just listening to it, going through it. Anything that was melodic and his style, I was listening to it all the time. I hit up Daniel. I was like, we have to do in Malayalam, like, because the thing is, what happens most of the time is, I feel, at least personally, when you put Malayalam and auto-tune and like try to build vibe, I don't know, it just ends up being very cringy. So for me, for like spot where it's not, and it sounds really good, like you really want to listen to it. So that was the whole struggle for us, because Caught Up in Vibes which have not been released, and I don't think it'll ever be released, because certain songs, when we finished it, we were like, hey, it sounds cringy. So I think for us it was like about hitting a sweet spot where like putting heavy autotune and like very very space kind of whole very weird vibes on it, and it should still sound like, oh wow, this is really cool to listen to. So other than the main objective, I guess, as the album, like to create something with the Western hip hop currently was making, അത് മലയാളത്തിൽ പെട്ടെന്ന് കൊണ്ടുപോവുകയാണെങ്കിൽ how, and like with whatever knowledge we had with production and whatever technical. So that was pretty much what our whole concept for Caught Up in Vibes was. But turned out pretty great. People accepted it, like, and yeah.
Yeah, I mean, it's something that's ഞാൻ നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ it's so different, especially what I've noticed with your what you bring into the community, right? It's something that's extremely different. Like there are a lot of people who do the usual rap and the freestyle and all of that, but what you brought in was especially being someone who listens to people like Post Malone, and I kind of saw a lot of similarity ആ ഒരു നമ്മുടെ ഈ മലയാളത്തിൽ ഇല്ലാത്ത ഒരു completely different, and that's I think what drew me towards listening to your music.
Yeah, I mean, that was pretty much what I went for too, because I mean, Malayalam rap is there, it's good, but I'm not a very lyrical or like flow is important, but lyric wise I'm not very crazy about it. You can just mumble to me and if it's good stuff, I'm down for it, like, hey, that's cool. So I'm that kind of an artist. So എനിക്ക് അതുപോലത്തെ ട്രാക്സ് മലയാളത്തിൽ കേൾക്കണം എന്ന് ആഗ്രഹം ഉണ്ടായിരുന്നു. And it was not there. So I was like, you know what, I'll make it. അങ്ങനെയായിരുന്നു my approach to.
Yeah, I mean, this is the same thing നമ്മൾ സംസാരിച്ച പോലെ ഞാൻ doing this whole interview thing is just because I couldn't find an interview with you, so I want to know more about this guy, and I couldn't find it. അപ്പോൾ ഞാൻ വിചാരിച്ചു എന്നാൽ പിന്നെ ഞാൻ തന്നെ ഒരു ചാനൽ തുടങ്ങിയൊക്കെ ചെയ്താലോ. So something that's really fascinated me with is when you have so many tracks, right? Ipom if I have to write a script, or if I have to write something, it's something that takes a lot of time, okay? And especially when it comes to music, you have to have that flow and ഒരു അർത്ഥവും ഇതൊക്കെ വേണം. അപ്പോൾ how long did it take you to write the lyrics for all these just how many tracks are there? ഇപ്പോൾ റിലീസ് ചെയ്തേക്കുന്ന എത്ര ട്രാക്സ്
in total I have no count. എനിക്ക് അങ്ങനെ കൗണ്ട് ഒന്നും വെക്കാറില്ല. I just make it. So thing with me, Daniel and all, we don't really put out songs for the views, and we barely look at the stuff, the stats and how much, if you're making money or anything. അങ്ങനെ നോക്കാറേ ഇല്ല. If you look at it also, most of our tracks just come out without pre-announcements or anything. ഞങ്ങൾ just നേരെ അങ്ങ് upload it. We get it done, we are just like, okay, it's ready to put out. Cool. In the net, we just look around if there's any other release that's coming out from like a few fellow artists that we are close to. Okay, in the net, no worries. Because I don't know, for us it's just about making the music and just putting it out there for other people to listen to. Because most of the times we listen to our own music like once a while, like just to see how much we've reached and stuff. So we don't look at the other views and stuff. We're just like, okay, now it'll do. If it really wants to do well, it'll do. If people love it, they'll listen to it. Right. We rarely do heavy promotions and stuff.
Right. And എനിക്ക് തോന്നുന്നു അതാണ് in a way the best approach, because when you have low expectations is one, and you're doing it because you love to do it, it doesn't matter, right? I mean, and even the rejection, let's say ആരെങ്കിലും എന്തെങ്കിലും negative saying that, like just like you said, that ഇതെന്താണ് lyrics ഒന്നും it doesn't make any sense, or people probably say that നമ്മുടെ we were so used to having that kind of background where the lyrics is something that's very important. അപ്പോൾ ആ ഒരു ഇതിൽ when that you're doing it for yourself, the people matter obviously, but the negativity at least doesn't hit you that much.
It doesn't affect you as much. True, very true. I mean, like when hip hop comes, when talking about hip hop as it is, lyrics are important. Tracks with very good lyrical meaning are important. I support artists who make lyrical music and they talk about political stuff and like have a political stand about it. But I'm not saying that I don't like it, but as an artist, as a personal and your taste, I listen to stuff like Travis Scott, Lil Uzi, Ghana, Young Thug and all, Future. Angante artists on the playlist. And for them, lyrics and all are like absolute, almost no use kind of thing. It's just there as fillers to bring the flow and the whole vibe out. So I want to create that in Malayalam, and that was what my aim is, and it's always been that. And it doesn't matter to me when people tell me lyrics pora, we can't understand you clearly because of the words, the way you're singing it or you're putting it out. I mean, I try to take it, and obviously I try to take it and try to make it better each time. But it doesn't affect me to a point where I'm just like, oh, I might just give up if it's not working.
Right.
Because I feel like a lot of the new artists that come out, they're expecting like big views and big amounts of stuff, like feedback from appreciation from the audience, that when they don't get it immediately, they're like, oh, I'm not good enough. I'm just going to quit.
And
but
this is something ഇന്നാളിൽ ഞാൻ Nomadic Voice ന്റെ ഒരു interview, I think there's just one interview or two probably of his, അത് ഒരെണ്ണത്തിൽ he was talking about the same thing where a lot of people they they're not really passionate about it, views എന്നുള്ള ഒരു ഇതിൽ വരുമ്പോൾ naturally you will get disappointed because this is completely new. നമ്മുടെ
Exactly.
it's something that
Totally.
did not exist a couple of years back. So I think Nomadic was doing music 6 years back, but this genre of music probably it's still very new. And I think in the last 1 year ഇപ്പം നോക്കുവാണെങ്കിൽ ഇപ്പം I think almost 1 year back is when Trap Sundari came out, right? And if you look at the progress, right, there's a lot of progress that's happened, like in that 1 year, that span of time. So I think it's definitely that something that's going to grow. It's becoming something now. This is the time, and I think to some extent with people, എല്ലാവരും വീട്ടിലിരിക്കുന്നതുകൊണ്ടും people are actually consuming more media. I think it's around 40% more media ഇപ്പോൾ, and that actually makes a huge impact. And അതിന് what you guys are doing is that you guys are also making sure that അതുപോലെ തന്നെ ട്രാക്സ് ഇറക്കുന്നുണ്ട് on a regular,
so that people don't get
regular basis. ഇന്നലെയാണോ മിനിഞ്ഞാന്നാണോ ഞാൻ you have a new track that's coming out with Cartel Madras, right? Dude, that was fire, man. I mean, what a banger. I mean, I can't wait to listen to that. So what was the inspiration?
I was really ഇത് കഴിഞ്ഞ വർഷം when Trap Sundari came out, that's when we finished the track. കഴിഞ്ഞ വർഷം തീർത്ത track.
Oh, okay.
It was all done. Then we lost time on like accepting the final mix and stuff, like confirming if this was the final mix and stuff. അങ്ങനെ കുറച്ച് സമയം പോയി. And then this year out of the blue, and then I got busy with college and stuff. അങ്ങനെ അങ്ങ് മറന്നു ട്രാക്കിനെ കുറിച്ച്. This year when after Scorpion Vibes and all came out, I was going through my old releases, like ended tracks, unreleased tracks. I have this folder. അതിൽ കൂടെ ഇങ്ങനെ ചുമ്മാ പോയപ്പോൾ I was like, hey, this track ഇത് ഇറങ്ങിയിട്ടില്ല, ഒന്നും അറിയത്തില്ല അതിനെ കുറിച്ച്, let's hit up Cartel Madras again. And then sending them that message took off like immediately. എല്ലാവരും they're like, okay, fine, let's get this done. But yeah, it's definitely a big release, big opportunity for me as an artist, because ഇത്ര നാളും it was like around people that I usually like, send, like എനിക്ക് ഒരു bubble ഉണ്ട്. It's mostly within. It's very very rarely it goes out of that. So for this release, it's big. I mean, Cartel is a very established artist, like artist genre. So to have a track with them is huge.
Right.
But yeah.
And I think നേരത്തെ പറഞ്ഞ പോലെ usually you don't really promote your stuff or release a preview, right? ഇതിന് preview കണ്ടപ്പോൾ I was like, okay, there's something really big coming. So I mean, I'm really waiting to listen to it. 25th അല്ലേ release അതിന്റെ?
Yeah, 25th.
Awesome, man.
I'm a person, I don't do previews, but what happens most of the time is just I might just give the whole song out through my story or my like live like കയറുകയാണെങ്കിൽ അറിയാതെ എല്ലാം വരും. Like I'm not a person who's like, oh, I have to keep it, like I have to think about it. I'm just like, okay, കേൾക്കണം എന്നാ കേൾപ്പിക്കാൻ. So it just goes like that. So this particular one, everyone's been like, don't, make sure you don't put anything out. Don't send it to anyone.
Right.
Like video ആണെങ്കിലും എന്താണെങ്കിലും just keep it to yourself for now.
Okay. Yeah, so then I'll not probably quiz you a lot on that. വെറുതെ ഒരു പ്രശ്നത്തിൽ ചാടണ്ട.
So it's a big one. A label is involved.
Right.
Snakes and Ladders in a label under. And yeah, it's quite big. Even for me, it's really it's overwhelming for me. I'm just like, whoa. Suddenly too big.
Right.
But yeah, all for the good. Like, fingers crossed.
No, man, I mean, I definitely think that you deserve, every bit of it. I mean, like I said, your music is next level and it's just going to keep getting better. So, it's also really nice to see that ipam nammada, like you said, nammada aa oru circle allande, when our music, people get exposed to even, Malayali, music and hip hop industry, when you start, or, someone else, does these kind of, link ups together, it actually creates a big impact. People, start noticing. So it's actually good for the whole community. It's definitely something great. So yeah, we'll definitely look forward to that. And another thing I want to ask you is, you're really into I actually saw a page called Workspace Glen. Appo adile you do a lot of I don't know what you call it exactly, 3D rendering or modeling or something like that,
Yeah. So yeah, like I mentioned, ഞാൻ transportation design പഠിക്കുന്നു in college. It's car designing basically. So
Okay.
that page was created. That page is the reason why I have the name GWS. It stands for Glen's
GWS.
Workspace.
Right.
Yeah, അന്ന് just ഡിസൈൻ പരിപാടി തുടങ്ങിയ ഒരു പേജ് ആയിരുന്നു. ഇപ്പോഴും അതിൽ ഡിസൈൻ മാത്രമേ ഉള്ളൂ. And I don't use it much often. ഇടയ്ക്കിടയ്ക്ക് എല്ലാം തോന്നുന്നു പെട്ടെന്ന് കയറി ഇപ്പൊ എന്തെങ്കിലുമൊക്കെ പോസ്റ്റ്. But it's mostly just that was a time when I recently got my new MacBook Pro and I was like using Adobe Illustrator and stuff, and I was like making a bunch of stuff. Once I started making music, I put it under the since I had a logo done for that page by my like nallor logo undakina enikku I was like our same logo which I'll put my tracks out because I didn't expect it to take off music wise. Chumma irunottannulla reethiyil ittadannakku. It was just for my Instagram followers and stuff. Like I would just post it on Instagram. So angane thodangiyathu I didn't expect it would reach till here. So GWS just got stuck on. I couldn't change it later on. So I was like, shit. So when people ask me nowadays, what does GWS stand for? I'm like, Glen's Workspace. And I'm just like, wow, cringe. How could I?
Not a very hip hop name.
So that was part of the reason why I created this separate character out called Scott Upin. So people can relate to me with like, hey, Scott Upin is there. Cool.
Right.
So it's like all like slightly thinking through a story. Like I don't know, for me when an album comes out or something like an album is involved, it shouldn't just be simply like random tracks put together. I feel like album is something that you have to put like a lot of thought into, and that was definitely what we did with Scott Upin too. Like every track that's there, we've like thought about it like 100 times. We just like even the order of the tracks going, it's like really thought out. It's not just like random tracks just there. It's like happy vibe, like something that people can immediately like get and realize, oh, that is Travis Scott inspired stuff because it's boom bata effect. And then the next one is like Vanda, where it's like, okay, now we're tapping into if the same style gets into Malayalam. And then Teeparne comes with just like a whole space vibe. Like, and then it goes like a minor scale, major scale, minor scale, major scale. And then it ends with this whole sycamore type of track, which is album villa, beat change and like hard stuff coming out, and then like it's too grand in the beginning, and like and it ends at the bang also. So it's like that. So we had thought it out completely. Chumma okay, ee track കഴിഞ്ഞു എന്നാ okay ഇത് കേറ്റിക്കോ അങ്ങനെയൊന്നും അല്ലായിരുന്നു. So we planned everything out, and we are currently thinking about like what we can do with this whole Scott Upin thing also, like if we are doing something next, like what's next. Thing is like this and all takes a long time to like work through. So athram time idanalla ipo time illa, like we all are busy with our own stuff, where are releases under, and then I have college going on the side. So need to balance everything out.
Right. And I think, like you said, Scott Upin vibes, the end, where, Melvin's verse really made sure that, it was like a stamp, like, it was something. And what do you feel when people call you, I know you started it off by, saying Scott Upin vibes and, Scott Uppa, people referring to you as Scott Uppa. So, does it make you really happy that people are referring to you now in the comments as Mallu, Travis Scott?
Obviously, yeah. It's something that puts a smile on my face every time. It started off with Nomadic Voice calling me Skada Scott Up and the Repokada in Iruvadil. That's where it started off.
Right.
And then every time I've gotten different types of Travis Scott references. I've got like Pavangrada Travis Scott, like what is it? Like Pichakarinde Walmart Travis. I've gotten stuff like that. Which is even more like like it makes me even happier like when stuff like that comes up. And like ipam this thing Travis Scott's new collab with McDonald's came out, the whole Travis Scott meal came out. And dude, every day I'll get like 3-4 people sending me the like videos from related to that whole promotion, like this kid buying a Travis Scott meal and then saying it's lit, and then so stuff like that. Like I get like everyone, like anything that comes out about Travis Scott, I just immediately get sent over from people, and I'm just like, wow, they related to me, so it's like really cool.
It's really
cool. I'm like, I'm honored to be like related to, like to be like related, like to be compared, or like not even compared. I wouldn't say compared, definitely no. But like to think about, like people think about me when they see something about Travis Scott, and I'm just like, hey, that's really cool.
Yeah.
Because I look up to that guy, man, like insane. Like to me, he's like one of the biggest musical geniuses. Because if you listen to his old stuff, he is lyrical. He can have like cool lyrical stuff. and then like his beat switches are like crazy.
Oh,
Most people
yeah.
think it's just like lame, but if you listen to it a couple of times and you're just like, wow, ഇതെന്താ സംഭവം ഇതെങ്ങനെ ചെയ്തു. And then he himself produces stuff too, like he can if he really wants to. Nowadays he has producers, but back in the day he used to produce like beats by himself. So he's just like an overall like ella onda. He's an all-rounder kind of guy. So I'm just like, damn,
He's an
love this guy.
inspiration to you, yeah.
Yeah, big time.
And ഈ ഇത് പറഞ്ഞപ്പോഴേ എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ that beat switch, right? ഞാൻ ആദ്യമായിട്ട് when I hear Travis Scott's music and then listen to your music, that switch is there, right? So ആദ്യത്തെ the first few times that you listen to something like that, you're like, okay, what is really happening here? But പിന്നെ ഉണ്ടല്ലോ എന്ന് വെച്ചാൽ that catches up, that becomes a thing. And especially in your music, you made sure, especially in that album, that at least in a few tracks you have that switch happening. At least in Alpam Villa, Melvin's switch വരുമ്പോൾ it completely changes the vibe, right? Of the so I mean that's something really new to people. So I think it definitely takes a little bit of time for everyone to get used to something like that. But accept that.
Another thing that I really experimented was with in Scott Vibes was with, I wanted to mix this heavy Western inspiration with like classical Indian stuff, and there was this one track which was called Tiragal. I had this guy, I had a friend of mine, Satvik, play some Carnatic. And the record is it was like insane. Like and the room and it was like, I heard it back, and then I heard it and I was like, man, this is like, not everyone thinks about heavy auto-tuned vocals and there's like classical baga coming out from the other side with crazy 808s and stuff. Like, sounds think of daily, and then suddenly this happens. It's just like, shit, that sounds good.
That really sounded good, because even now, before doing this interview, I was actually listening to that track, and it's something so different than, like you said, that it's not something you notice usually that really happens, but it went really well. The blend was, you guys made sure that it didn't look like you stopped with the English and then the Carnatic music coming in and all that. So that was also something that's really interesting. So when you look at it, right, I mean, with everything that's happened, and now you're also studying, so what is the, I mean, it's very difficult as it, ഇപ്പം ഞാനൊരു ടീനേജർ ആയിരുന്ന സമയത്ത് തന്നെ, it was very difficult to know what to do in life, and to some extent ഇപ്പോഴും അറിയത്തില്ല, even after being 30 I don't really know, but I think that's a constant struggle for some people. But for people like you, who's doing something substantial, especially in music, and then you're doing something of interest, പഠിത്തത്തിന്റെ കാര്യത്തിലാണേലും, like you used to sketch cars and all that before itself, even before thinking about probably getting into this. So where do you see this going? Like, you want to do both because you're passionate about both, and or just take up music and see that as your future? How do you see that?
For me, designing is like, car designing is like my main passion. I want to make that my career. Music is, for me right now, what music is basically a stress relief, and creative music isn't that you can, at least I personally think it's not something that you can easily go out of style
right
suddenly, because it's very subjective to listeners. Like എല്ലാവർക്കും ഇത് ഇഷ്ടപ്പെടണമെന്നില്ല, and then once someone new comes in, someone who's popping, it immediately drops you down, like പിന്നെ അത് പിടിച്ചെടുക്കാനോ പാടാ, and always to deliver songs, that's always like, if there's a good song that's out there, to beat that and come on, it's always very hard, because now you have the extra pressure of people looking down at you and being like, ഇതുപോലത്തെ പാട്ടാണ്, ഇതിനെക്കാട്ടും നല്ല പാട്ടാണ്. It's not like, I'm not discouraging if anyone is like trying to do that. I mean, it's a personal choice. എനിക്ക് അത് ഡിസൈനിലാണ്, I want to do that in design, because I think I can like challenge myself and like career out of that. For me, music is always like this side lo ഒരുമിച്ച് പോകുന്ന സംഭവം. It's balanced out for me as of now. Where it is gonna go, I might stop one day whenever I feel like. And when I stop feeling like, see, currently I'm like, hey, it's all fun, but if it reaches a point where I'm like under stress to make music, like people are telling me, "It was the channel," and if I'm feeling pressure to make music, that'll be the day when I stop. Or when it becomes all about money and taking it, or like fame and stuff, that's when I should stop, because after that point, you're not doing it because you enjoy it anymore.
Right. And I think that's a very good way to approach it. because now you're not really having those expectations, and all that doesn't really bring you down. So that really makes a big difference. And I must say this, that for being a young guy, if I was in your at your age, right now, I didn't know shit. I mean, I didn't know what I wanted to do, or even then, what the difference, maybe 10 years back, like we are almost 10 years apart. So the difference was that ipo the internet, and the access and the knowledge, or the information that you have out there was very different. Ipo ഞങ്ങളുടെ generation ആണെങ്കിലും, and even if you probably tell നമ്മുടെ മലയാളി parents that ഞാനൊരു മ്യൂസീഷ്യൻ ആവാൻ പോവാ, അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഞാനൊരു റാപ്പർ ആവാൻ പോവാണ്, what the hell man, ഇതിനാണോ നിന്നെ പഠിപ്പിച്ചേ? So
yeah. I mean, yeah. I mean, I can relate to that because, and like when I started off, also, my dad wasn't a big fan of it. Like in Purim, they're not like, parents are not heavily into it. Like everybody in Kanamu, they're like, hey, that's nice, and then in the past, like that's there. But initially, when I was doing it and all, it was not that great. I think the first time my dad actually appreciated it was when Cartel Madras came, because what happened is, like couple of shared the track with him. Like I didn't, like he heard the track and he was like, okay, nice, not bad. And then someone else shared the track to him on a WhatsApp group or something, and which isn't Monale. And I'm like, and then he was like, yeah, okay, cool. So there are people listening to it. There are people who actually enjoy it, and they're like, Collab. Yeah. So when you see other people accepting it, I feel like process, like especially in the Malayali community, this is very new. People do not know how to accept it. Certain people are like, okay, the full album, but yeah, that happens. Yes, even like a lot of people are accepting Malayalam rap, like older generations also. They're like, hey, Collab. We have Fejo doing tracks in movies. We have Tirumali doing tracks in movies. You get to see hints of people accepting it, and nowadays you see more rap stuff in like rap music in movies than before. I mean, it's going in a good place, and and I think like nowadays people have more access on
with Geo and all of that.
Like, so I think it depends. It also depends. I mean, even with the internet, it depends on how you want to take it and use it. You can always use it for good.
Yeah. So the other was something that I actually wanted to ask you about your parents. Anyways, I want to ask you if they actually listen to every track of yours, because okay, and cheladu maybe you don't want them to listen to also, right?
I try to keep I initially when I started off, curse words and all were the common thing I would use, but then I really wanted to tap in clean music. So Scottman Vibes and the solo tracks it's all clean. I have not put explicit on it because it doesn't need. Only a few feature tracks I had to put explicit. I think it would have been a clean album. But yeah, like I think if something that it's interesting, I would make them listen to it. Because it's not their cup of tea, they're not like very into these kind of music also, like, so it's very hard to make them sit down and be like, it's a cake.
No, yeah, I mean, in a way that's good for you also, because how do extra pressure that, oh man, my dad's going to listen to this. Yeah. He's going to be like,
like, my brother, I have a younger brother, he's 9 years old. One of my biggest fans, I would say. Like, the dude's listening to me all 24/7.
That's awesome.
That like happiness when you see your younger brother, like the biggest fan, like, oh shit, and that's an apart.
Yeah,
but yeah,
the age difference also between both of you is something. So
it's insane.
Yeah, so I mean, he's going to be influenced a lot by what you do and stuff like that, which is great. I mean, seeing an elder brother doing all these things is definitely a motivation to him also. So വേറൊരു കാര്യം, one of, I think, ഇപ്പോഴത്തെ മറ്റേ you have your Straight Out of Kerala, you had that series startup, and നമ്മുടെ 20-200 was on the show, right? And you have a lot of people ഇപ്പം അത് കേട്ടിട്ട് coming to your channel and listening to your music. So how did that happen? Like, how did that link up with the creators of Straight Out of Kerala happen?
So that happened. Like, so there's a group on Facebook called Subtle Malu Trades.
I'm on the group.
Yeah, you're there, right? Okay, cool. So I had shared my Scottman Vibes album when I made it. I was music share on a page, but back then I was probably one of the first few ones to put it out there. And I share it on the time. I was like, hey, it's a humble attempt to listen. And then NRI tapped into it because it's something that they would love to listen to. It's not your typical track, but something that who grew up outside will easily relate to, like these kind of tracks. So that was one of my very big help. It helped me out really well. So what happened is I catered to three, and one of those guys was straight out of Kerala, the founder. Basically, he was like, we should do something. And so he had this whole Nadan vibes in the making back then. He was like scripting and stuff, I guess. And the concept already on that. He had called me, he talked about it. And then I was like, sure, yeah, I could definitely do some track for it. But what happened towards the release in the he hit me up and he was like, bro, it was a perfect track. That whole intro, it works. And Nomadic in the bagam, and then how it goes into your hook at the end. It's a perfect match. And I saw it and I'm like, bro, you don't have to ask me as long as you're giving me enough credit. Because you're like acknowledging part that it's a track from another artist and you're promoting them too. All good from my side. It's not like it's not a big deal at all.
Right.
So he sent that over and I was like, man, this is perfect. Put it out, no worries. So that's how that whole thing came. I didn't even see the episode. Like he sent me the episode's link and I was like, it's okay, I'll wait. I wanted the hype to build up too from inside me also. Like the hype was building out outside, definitely among other people, and inside I was like, hey, the Collabs. There's a lot of hype going around. Let's see how. And a lot of people loved it. Like the way Nomadic's verse was there, and then how my hook also comes towards the end. അത്രയും ആൾക്കാർ ഓൾറെഡി ആ പാട്ട് കേട്ട് കഴിഞ്ഞു. അത്രയും ലൈക്ക് വ്യൂസ് whoever like എത്ര പേര് കണ്ടു അത്രയും പേരും ഈ പാട്ട് കേട്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. So people loved it, really wanted to find it out, and then they did search up initially. I mean, like eventually found my heard this stuff. Other than they are listening. Like so, what happened is like what's caught up in vibes is there on my channel right now. So everyone's like tapping into that, and checking more stuff out. So that was a very good exposure for me. I would love to work with those guys in the future again. Good set of people, like amazing set of crew and like team that they have. It's like the quality that they're putting out is also insane.
Right. And
really
നാടൻ വൈബ്സിന്റെ ഇത് കാണുമ്പോഴുണ്ടല്ലോ ലൈക്ക് ഞാനൊക്കെ ലൈക്ക് ഇൻ ആർ ചൈൽഡ്ഹുഡ് യു ഹാഡ് അക്കര കാഴ്ചകൾ റൈറ്റ് സോ ലൈക്ക് ഐ യൂസ്ഡ് ടു ബി സോ ക്രേസി അബൌട്ട് ദാറ്റ് ഷോ ആൻഡ് ജസ്റ്റ് വാച്ചിങ് കൈരളി TV ജസ്റ്റ് ടു സീ ദാറ്റ് ആൻഡ് ദെൻ പിന്നെയാണ് യൂട്യൂബിലൊക്കെ വന്നു തുടങ്ങി ഐ തിങ്ക് ഞാനൊരു 5-10 പ്രാവശ്യമെങ്കിലും ദാറ്റ് ഹോൾ സീരീസ് കണ്ടിട്ടുണ്ട്. സോ ഐ വോണ്ട് ആസ്ക് യു ആക്ച്വലി ഇഫ് യു ഓൾസോ ഗ്രൂ അപ്പ് വാച്ചിങ്
I watched it. To be funny, I mean, to be really honest about it, I mean, my dad and all, every time I conducted over ornament. And then recently, when I was in the US, I had recently watched the full series. Okay, without knowing about like any of this building up to it. I had recently watched the whole thing, and it was all new in my head. And I was like, oh my god, this is cool. And like I was just like, wow. And then I get full story. You can manage like, I mean, like back then I was not fully into it and all. And I was like, hey, cringe stuff, Malayalam serial.
ആകെ ആലോചിക്കുമ്പോ ഞങ്ങള് കൊച്ചുനാളിലായിരുന്നപ്പോ there used to be on സ്ത്രീ എന്ന് പറഞ്ഞൊരു സീരിയൽ so everything used to be related to that and the whole drama and you don't expect something like this in Malayalam unless you watch it. So
ഞാൻ recently കണ്ടിട്ടിരിക്കുകയായിരുന്നു and I had no idea these guys. So since I didn't see the episode, like basically send me the link to the episode, and I chose not to see it. And I had no idea that that those two characters, characters. I mean, those two actors would be there in it. I had no idea. Right. So, ഞാൻ ആ എപ്പിസോഡ് കണ്ടപ്പോൾ and then I saw them and I'm like, oh my god, no! Like for me, it was a happy, like a moment to be so proud of because I was like, oh, like something that one of my tracks is there and they are part of it. It's insane. Like it was big to me. But yeah, it was a cool experience.
And so I mean, since we're talking about Akkara Kaachakal, ആരാണ് favorite character of the show?
Giri has to be
Giri. And Jared, I was looking at one of your Instagram stories and I saw what you had written about Achayan.
That was the time when Maniarela Ashokan was coming out.
Right.
And the Gregory guy was actually at the top. Like Eladim was talking about him because Maniarela Ashokan is coming out and whole promotion is going about it. And Achayan and I have random video calls and we talk for like 2 hours. Like it's like once in a month we just have this huge long talk. So that was one of the days, and then and he's got his hair grown out, tadi, everything. Like he looks. I mean, like since the whole Jacob Gregory thing was going around, I was like, man, you look so much like this guy. And then I just took a screenshot and I'm like, put it out, and I was like, but yeah.
Amazing, man. I mean,
I don't know.
no, but even the thing is that nammalippam just talking about us, since even if we have that age gap, knowing that the whole Malayali community, at least NRIs ന്റെ ഒരു വലിയ ലൈഫിലെ ഒരു വലിയ ഭാഗമാണ് that അക്കരെ കാഴ്ചകൾ is a big influence that it's created. And ipo nammada if you look at the Facebook groups like subtle Malu traits, you have the trolls and the memes and all of that always coming out and stuff. So I mean it's nice to see that a few things haven't changed since then.
True.
Yeah, so
it's something that everyone who's an NRI can easily relate to, I guess. Like that whole series, and I really wish like new stuff comes out like that. I hope Straight Outta Kerala can tap into
right. No, definitely
those kind of styles.
It's completely new. ഇപ്പം നമ്മുടെ ഇതുവരെ ഇല്ലാത്ത ഇപ്പം അക്കരെ കാഴ്ചകൾ really was that first thing, and it wasn't that well produced or anything, but they still did it, and they still made a huge impact on the whole community as a whole. One thing that I want to ask you was ഇപ്പം നിങ്ങൾ when you collab with all of these creators, right, like most of the time it's Dan and maybe Bevin or Bob who's actually creating your producing your beats, and it's you guys. So when you ask another how do you know that I want ഈ ആർട്ടിസ്റ്റ് ആണ് എനിക്ക് ഈ പാട്ടിൽ വേണ്ടതെന്ന് എങ്ങനെയാണ് ഒരു തീരുമാനത്തിലെത്തുന്നത്?
So I mean, if we're doing a project like that also, it's not like I choose them. It's not by choice, like through thought. It's more like I need a beat. So they send me over a beat, and then I just choose which one fits the best. But I mean, I work with these guys the most because they understand. I mean, I told you, like, the chemistry that we three have is like very good. Right. So like when I tell something also, like avara producing, I'm not very good with the beats and stuff. I can come up with melodies, even production wise I can come up with melodies and stuff, but to lay beats down I'm not good at it. And so these guys understand what kind of stuff I'm looking for. Like any other like I can tell them like and then they'll actually make something even better, and I'm like, okay, never mind, this is perfect. So these guys understand me the most. So work can help like constantly. That's why if you look at it, like 90% of my tracks are with either Dan or Bevin.
Right.
It's not because I don't want to tap into other producers, but I easily get what I want from these guys. They understand me, I understand them, and like it's always a collab between us. It's never like he produced a track, I'm the main artist or anything.
Right.
We always understand that like everyone's equally important in the track. Whoever's been a part of it, it's always equally important. So
right. And like talking about the other artists, if you have let's say Rax, or you have Vigada Kavi, you have KV, how do you like, do you just send them the beats and tell them that idana the theme of the song, and you guys come up with your verse, or how does that work?
I mean, I think so with artists that I usually collab with, I mean, artists like Rax and all, we usually what we do is we just send over the track and we'll be like, hey, if you got a track on, would love to get a feature verse from you. And then they check out the demo. It's always about the demo, even if it's the beat. If I'm a beat to choose, it's all based on the demo. If I'm choosing a track for my feature verse, our demo that based it's always based on the demo. So we also share demos with each other, and we're like, love to get someone like with this style on this track. So okay, would you like to try something? And that our created, if the theme also works for them, and if everything works out for them, they say yes to it, and then that's how it goes usually. When stems I'm going to sharing like vocal stems I'm going to it depends on who's mixing and mastering and stuff. It's a very, I mean, it's not so established yet, like the whole process. It's like very random. It just depends on the artist. Like so it's very intuitive. Just right. Go with the flow, I guess.
Yeah.
Set methods on. It's just like I did this track. I think you will fit the best in it. I should come. വൈബ് ചെയ്യുവാണെങ്കിൽ ആള് ചാടും, ഇല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഇല്ല സാറെന്ന് പറയും.
പിന്നെ വേറെ another thing that I noticed ഇപ്പോൾ ഈ ഒരു after COVID and ഈ ലോക്ക്ഡൗൺ ഒക്കെ കഴിഞ്ഞിട്ട് you guys are releasing tracks and അതിൻ്റെ ഒപ്പം തന്നെ you guys are also releasing videos of these tracks, right? Being let's say you're in LA and there's someone else in a whole different part of the world, that's something that also എന്നെ ശരിക്കും fascinate ചെയ്തൊരു സംഭവം is that you guys don't take this as an excuse not to do it. You still figure a way out to do it.
I think like ഒത്തിരി ആർട്ടിസ്റ്റ് ലൈക്ക് ഇപ്പം ഉള്ള ആർട്ടിസ്റ്റിലും ഒത്തിരി പേരും പുറത്തൊക്കെയാണ്. ഇറ്റ്സ് വെരി റയർലി വി ആർ ഇൻ ഇന്ത്യ. ഞാനിപ്പം I haven't met half these artists. The only artists that I've met in person are Rax and Tirumali.
For the video,
I haven't. Yeah, and that's it. And that's about it. I haven't met Dan Pearson yet. All the relation that we have is through WhatsApp and video calls and stuff like that. It's just through digital. I haven't met these guys like in person. Arcado Ayalam, Jaysuri Ayalam. I mean, like we know each other like really well. We'll have like random video calls and like it's all like super chill and all. But at the end of the day, when you come to think about it, we've never really met in person. And it's like, but we just have that good connection, because through music, that's that whole bond between us. So we all understand each other really well. A lot of us know about us, like each other, like a lot of things about each other and stuff. So, like music has like become that glue that makes us a family. So, yeah. So because of that, like, because you make a track and you need to put it out, and like, from a marketing or promotional standpoint, without a video, it's very hard to make something like reach people, because visual is what attracts people the most.
Right.
So making a video is almost very important for each track. So like a track in a patto, we try to do it, and even if it's from different locations, videos maximum or a രീതിയിൽ shoot ചെയ്യാൻ നോക്കും. പറ്റുവാണെങ്കിൽ with the similar type of like gear to make sure it all looks pretty much the same. എന്നിട്ട് മിക്കവാറും how we do it is like ഒരാൾ ഷൂട്ട് ചെയ്യും, എന്നിട്ട് അത് റെഫറൻസ് ആയിട്ട് മറ്റൊരാൾക്ക് അയക്കും, so that you can build something similar to that എന്നുള്ള രീതിയിൽ. But yeah, it's always a very hard thing, because making a video is also very hard, because you need to pay these guys. So most of the time it's paying from your own pocket. So that's why it's very hard to make a video for each and every track you do, unless you find a sponsor or something. It's very hard to. I mean, as a person, it's very hard for me to ask people for like for things to do and so. So I mean, every video that I've done so far, more like 90% like already paid and stuff. Like end up some like I put it out. It's like, because it's not about the money anyways. For me, it's about getting the thing done. And when someone else is putting their effort in, it needs to be appreciated and accounted for. So yeah, it's a challenge, definitely a challenge, especially because Kerala, like it's very rare that I'm in Kerala. So I'm mostly in Bahrain. So any give a vacation, I come to Bahrain because my family is here, and you can not go to Pondy. So anytime that I actually go to Kerala, for Trap Sundari, I went to India for 2 weeks just for the shoot.
Oh my god!
I told that I'm like, I have to go and keep the chain, but because Trap Sundari was a very big track, it was like me, Rax, and Tirumali.
Right.
I didn't want that track to have like pasted video of myself, like from some other location. So I was like, illa. It was like even the holidays, so Dad was going to India to visit his parents, and I was like, I'm coming along, but I'm staying for 2 weeks. I'll come after 2 weeks.
Okay.
So yeah. So. There are times when I had to like be like, okay, never mind, I have to do it. So
yeah. And ഒരു കാര്യം actually notice ചെയ്ത when you said is that actually the tracks with the videos do like exponentially better than tracks. There are so many tracks that are maybe 2000 view അല്ലെങ്കിൽ 3000 view, and they're really really good, but the problem is that people are somehow attracted to ipam, like talking about Southside Pillari, right? Even though you guys don't have a proper video, it's not like a video where all of you are dancing around, and that it's not that kind of video, but it still attracts you towards watching it because of what Lucid Initiative has done. I mean, that was kick ass. What they've done,
it's insane. Even he's from Bahrain. Mishal is from Bahrain.
Oh.
Dude, Bahrain has a bunch of Malayali talent that's like not known about. It's insane. Like Kiran is from Bahrain. I am from Bahrain. Bevan is from Bahrain. This Mishal, the whole Lucid Initiative, the Mishal is also from Bahrain. There's like bunch of guys who are from Bahrain, and it's like insane to know that, you know, there are people who you probably grew up with or you saw, like, met around, and, you know, they're making music, and they also have like a very big stand or like making something related to music, or, you know,
Yeah,
this whole
that's
creative field ഒത്തിരി പേരുണ്ട്.
that
It's insane.
which is crazy. I mean, you know, maybe 5 വർഷം മുന്നേ you couldn't even think of something like this, right? You know, all of these
Oh
people
no.
coming together and
Yeah.
you know doing something. So there's one part of the show where you know we talk about you know your Instagram, a couple of photos about your Instagram where you know I think that it needs more context. So it's something I copied from another show, but I thought it'll still be fun. So you know the first one is you know there's a photo of you with you know a lighting setup, and I think I've just sent that photo to you. So
Yes.
so what is the
The
context?
blue light one.
ഇത് കാണുമ്പോൾ എന്തായാലും എനിക്ക് ഒരു കാര്യം അറിയാം, ഇത് ബഹ്റിനിലെ അല്ലെങ്കിൽ ഏതോ ഒരു ഗൾഫിലെ ഏതോ ഒരു പൊട്ടിപ്പൊളിഞ്ഞ ബിൽഡിങ്ങിന്റെ മുന്നിൽ ആരും ഇല്ലാത്ത സ്ഥലത്ത് പോയി എടുത്തേക്കുന്നതാണെന്ന് അറിയാം. ബട്ട് യു നോ ഹൗ ഡിഡ് ദിസ് കം അബൌട്ട്? ടെൽ us a little bit about this story.
Okay, so this is basically from the shoot for Arangetam's video. That pink video, that whole setup. And the evening after the whole sun went down, we tried a couple more shots there, the same location, and that was the setup for that. But yeah, since the track and the shoot even so when I posted the picture, I didn't want it to be like, oh, new video is coming out. I mean, people obviously know a video is coming out because our setup allengi cheyatilla, photo kandi endayil angane cheyatilla. But I didn't want anyone to know which track it was, so I don't know what what did I put the caption as? It must have been very random.
Yeah,
most of the times my caption is very random and pictures come out.
But I mean, you know, that was the start.
It's from Arangetam shoot.
Yeah, it's like the start of everything, right? Arangetam, you know, it was like your journey getting into you know Malayalam hip hop. Like I think adinu munne just avashanai മാത്രം ഉള്ളായിരുന്നല്ലേ, like proper Malayalam track.
So Arangetam, the track itself is a title track from my debut mixtape. It's called Arangetam.
Okay.
I put it as Arangetam because it was my debut. So Avashanai, Cartel Madras, all of these tracks, even though they don't really relate well with each other, they're all part of this mixtape called Arangetam, which is my debut, and it was the whole mixtape was from 2019. So all of the tracks that I like put out as my main tracks are from that mixtape. So anyone who listens to, anyone who was like looking for like 2019 my debut tracks, it's just one mixtape. It's all over the year. 2019 that I thought were like the best stuff of mine, and I put it into Arangetam mixtape. And this was the title track called Arangetam.
Your but caught up in vibes in the poster, right? So you know, I was really fascinated that you have, you know, created something like this, but being a person who doesn't understand art at all, like can you tell me a little bit about this picture? Like the, you know, kora thee undu, pinne you have, you know, some kind of you know Athens le, you know, temple. So what were you going for, you know?
So I definitely wanted to create something very similar to, since it was very inspired of Travis Scott, I wanted something similar that when you look at it, you're like, hey, our cover art looks very similar-ish. So it was based off the Astro World thing. Like, he has a blue sky, he has these earth tones, and he has a golden head instead of my Athens, whatever that,
right,
that arch.
Yeah.
So basically, it's like the way I put it was like, so we have like this big arch. It's like a gateway. There's like, if you see, there's like a three people, silhouettes of three people at the bottom.
Right.
Kind of considered as me, Daniel, and Bevan. Like, you know, tapping into a different dimension kind of thing.
Oh my God.
And the picture in the background, the red picture, is basically a friend of mine from Pakistan clicked that picture. His name is Omar. And he sent it over, and he put it on a story or something, and I was like, dude, I want that picture to be like in the background, because it was like, so it looks like a gateway to, like, suddenly it's like a different approach to, like, the picture looks very different from there. You know, it's pasted on, but it kind of goes well there.
It goes well, yeah.
Then I had this whole and then I had like T, and the wave on the bottom is basically talking about the different tracks that I have in my album. So I have T Parne, and then I have Tiragal.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, and then I have this, and then like, and this whole sky thing is a very big important concept, I guess, in my whole just caught up in vibe. So I had like this whole sky, and like I don't know, it was like this very spacey feeling.
Yeah, but
I wanted to keep it on the.
it's really cool, man. I mean, just to know that you created that was amazing, and then that's when I realized that you have a background in design, and you do stuff like
Yeah.
this. So and തീയുടെ കാര്യം പറഞ്ഞപ്പോഴാണ് like a lot of your tracks there's like തീ പടർന്ന് തീ ചൂള. I was like, dude, what's with this guy and fire, man?
I don't know. I don't know. It was just one word that stuck around, I guess. That and Tadinathodakam really clicked into people from Promat Effect. Yeah, and I'm trying to like certain things can work for certain artists. So I'm just trying to make this whole T and Tadinathodakam as the line itself into something that I can always put into my tracks, and people will be like, hey, that's the GWS stuff.
That's
like
GWS,
that's his track, definitely. Yeah. Because I'm not a person who calls out my name in each track.
Yeah.
Because there are people who say like three artists under they put their own tag in the tracks.
Right.
For example, Tirumali and Cotton Duke, at the end of the before who comes in, he calls out Tirumali, and Rax on most of his tracks has Rax on the mic. Yeah. So I'm in the tags on them. I don't use it because it's first thing. It's very hard for me to say GWS. I don't want to use another name also, so I just don't use it I just don't use it unless some other artist is doing it for my name.
Right. So
the KV has done it for other tracks.
No, we were talking about this GWS and പേര് it was not something you really thought through, but if you were to get to go back and change that name, do you have a name in mind?
No, I don't have a name in mind because I'm not a person who looks back and be like, oh, I regret it, but and they're like, hey, it works. It works.
People, I mean, it definitely works. It's so different, and people definitely wonder, what is GWS? Trying to, is it? പിന്നെ നമ്മൾ ആദ്യം വിചാരിക്കുന്ന ഒരു പേരിന്റെ ഇനിഷ്യൽസ് ആണ്, പക്ഷെ നമ്മുടെ ഡബ്ല്യൂല് മലയാളത്തില് മലയാളി പേരുകൾ അങ്ങനെ I didn't think of. പിന്നെയാണ് I realized after looking at Facebook or something that it's Glen's workspace.
I think it becomes very lame once you get to know what it stands for. But other it's all good and like cool. Oh, GW. The when you get to know it's Glen's workspace. Okay.
ഇത് നമ്മൾ when we are kids, right? ഇപ്പൊ ഞാനൊക്കെ ചെറുപ്പത്തിലായിരുന്നപ്പം used to have these email IDs, right? So used to have this cool boy 22 and അങ്ങനത്തെ പേരുകൾ. So it's probably something that at least it's not in any way lame when you compare it to a lot of the email IDs that I have had in my teenage life, but it's cool, man. I mean, dude, it's been awesome. Thank you so much for being on the show. We have done more than an hour now. And I'll hope that we can do this even again. I hope you had a good time
for sure.
doing this.
Yeah, it was fun. And I definitely didn't see the time going by.
And if there's someone who is new to you, where can people find you and on social media?
I'm always on Instagram, like almost always on Instagram, and then I think always send a DM. I always try to reply to every DM that I get.
And that's how we connected as well. So
yeah, because I'm a person like I know 3 artists and if ishtola artists, I try to message them up and like you rarely get replies back. It's very hard, and I know how it feels to talk to someone who you really want to talk to, or like just get in touch with. So whenever I get a message, I'm just like, hey, I want to reply back to it too. Like,
which is so cool, like, man. I mean, that's so nice of you. I mean,
I rarely have any for message requests. Aldenglum, it's people who have been promoting some other stuff, like there are promotions. But if someone else is sending their track or something, I try to listen to it. I try to get back to them.
Right.
I reply back. So.
Yeah. Which is cool. I mean, I hope, when you reach 100...
I don't want to have that big complex, as, oh, I'm a very artist.
Yeah.
I am grateful that you're listening to my tracks. That's what it is.
Yeah. I mean, which is amazing attitude to have. I mean, not our, humility definitely, will take you a long way. So, I mean, it's awesome, and thank you so much again for, being on the show. I just, talked to you once and you were cool with it. So, thanks a lot, man. I mean, really had a lot of fun, and I hope we can do this again in future. And obviously, all the best with, the new track that's coming out, and, for all of your future tracks as well.
Thanks, man.
Cool.
Thanks, man. It was fun. Take care.
Yeah, man.
Peace.
Yeah.